The 12 hours of the Duat, as appears in the burial chamber, KV 34, of Menkheperwra DjHwtymos, also known as Pharaoh Tuthmosis III, circa 1426 BCE. The Amdw3t, or the Book of the Hidden Chamber. The title: Treatise of the Hidden Chamber, the positions of the souls, the Nucheru, the Shuut, shadows, the spirits, and what is done. The beginning is the horn of the west, the gate of the western horizon. The end is unified darkness, the gate of the western horizon. To know the souls of the Duat, to know what is done, to know their transfigurations for Ra, to know the secret souls, to know what is in the hours and their Nucheru, to know what he calls to them, to know the gates and the ways upon which the great Nucher passes, to know the courses of the hours and their Nucheru, to know the flourishing and the annihilated. First hour. Introduction. This Nucher enters through the western gateway of the horizon. Sutukh stands at the riverbank. 120 units of measure is the journey through this gateway before the bark reaches those of the Duat. He passes the waters after it to Werness. 9 Nucher in baboon form acclaim Ra. Names of the Nucheru opening for the great souls. Baboon, acclaiming monkey, slack-bellied monkey, heart of the earth, favorite of the earth, worshipper, opener of the earth, he who gives access to the earth, whom Ra beholds. Following are 12 standing Nucherut without attributes. Names of the Nucherut who praise the one in the earth. She of the throat, maiden, mistress of life, she who praises through her soul, she who is elevated through her spirit, she who overpowers her foes, great hidden one, the honored one, she of the fetters, the one with uplifted arm, mistress of protection, the deaf one. 9 squatting Nucheru follow, all with upraised arms to adore Ra. The first 3 have crocodile heads. The following 3 have jackal heads. The last 3 have human heads. Names of the Nucheru adoring Ra, who traverses the Duat, who screams, powerful of face, lord of the sacred land, who keeps apart the 2 lands, who keeps apart the 2 powers, whose arm is shining, whose arm is seen, whose arm is praising. The upper register ends with the 12 hours of the night personified as Nucherut without attributes. Names of the Nucherut who guide the great Nucher. She who smashes the brows of her foes, the wise one who protects her master, she who cuts souls, the great one in the Duat, she who is in the midst of her bark, she who arrives, she who repels the gangs of Sutukh, she of the midnight, protectress of her eye, she who rages, the starry one, she who beholds the perfection of her Lord. Each middle register starts with the sunbark, with the ram-headed form of Ra in the center, standing in a shrine, grasping a serpent staff and an Nucheru in the sunbark. Wapau-Watwet, opener of the ways. Sia, percipience. Lady of the bark. Flesh of Ra. Haru of fragrance. Bull of Ma'at, the vigilant one. Hu, utterance. Guide of the bark. Nucheru preceding the sunbark. Ma'at, cutter. Foremost of the west. Sachmet, great illuminator. Decree of Ra, decree of Atum, decree of Khepari, decree of Auxir, hour, transverser of the hours. Nucheru in the bark. Auxir, Khepari, Auxir, Ncheru preceding the bark, who sweeps the mouth, slicer, the pointed one, he of the fields, he of the meadows, he of the pointed bread, Habenu, falcon, he of the staff, he of the garment, he of the plot, Neit, the divine goat, Nepthot, who separates the water, staff, who seals the earth. Text above the first half of the middle register. The two Ma'ats towed this Ncher in the night bark, passing through the gateway of this region. 120 units of measure it is that he passes after it to Wernus, whose length is 300 units of measure, assigning land to them, to the Ncheru, who are behind him. Water of Ra is the name of this field. Belonging to the flames is the name of its guardian. This Ncher begins to give orders and to care for those who are in the Duat at this field. Text above the second half of the middle register. Gateway through which this Ncher passes as a ram. He transforms himself after he passes through this gateway, without the dead rising after him. They stay at this gateway, and he gives orders to the Ncheru who are in this gateway. This is done in the concealment of the Duat, like this holy form, concealed for the few know it. Again, 9 baboons acclaim Ra. Names of the Ncheru who make music for Ra when he enters the Duat. Baboon, Shrieker, the fiery one, male, who raises with his flames. Dancer, Anonymous, he in the shrine, foremost of his land, he with the phallus. Then follow 12 fire-spitting cobra serpents, names of the Ncherut who brighten the darkness of the Duat. She who flames, the burning one, Wa'jit, cobra, she with the hurtful flame, she who cuts, the radiant one, protectress of the lands, executioner of her enemies, she with the beautiful appearance, the fiery one, female, the peaceful one, cobra not labeled with name. 9 Ncheru with hands raised in adoration. Names of the Ncheru who adore the Lord of the Ennead. He of the Duat, praiser of Ra, adorer, he of the righteous riverbanks, he who bellows, bull, ka of forms, bull, ka of the Duat, fitted with heart, guardian. 12 Ncherut stand without attributes. Names of the Ncherut rendering praise to Ra in passing through Wernus. She of the realm, Amentet, Auset, Nepthot, the double-faced one, Tefnut, she of the water, who is equipped with a mouth, Aptet, beholder of her Ncher, belonging to her Ncher, the praising one. Closing text. Then the person of this Ncher pauses after reaching this gateway. Orders given to the Ncheru who are in it. Open your gates for me. Open wide your gateways for me. Illuminate for me what I have made. Guide me, you who came forth from my limbs. Indeed, I commended you to my corpse. I made you for my soul. I created you for my magic power. I have come that I may greet myself with myself, that I may let my limbs breathe when they rise. I exterminate him who acts against it. I cause Ausir, foremost of the Westerners, to breathe as the secret image. Baboons, open for me your arms. Spread wide your gates for me, baboons. My Ncherut, who come into being from my soul. My Ncheru, you who came into existence from my body. You came into existence for Khapari, who heads the Duat. You stand at Wernus. You land at the secret riverbank. You act for those of the Duat at this, your gateway, your place. Arable land belongs to you from your fields. The Ncheru of this gateway call to Ra when they adore the great Ncher. Open for you is the hidden which contains the secret images. which open for you is the darkened, that you let breathe the place of destruction, that you approach in your name of Ra to the place where Ausir is, foremost of the Westerners. May there be jubilation to Ra at the gates of the earth, and praise to you who makes the blessed breathe when you enter the gate of the great DjHwt. We open for you the doors as baboons. We open for you as Hecha'au baboons. Your adorers praise you. The spirits brighten for you the darkness. Your Nucheru adore you, Ra. The personification of the hour in which you are guides you. Your two daughters tow you in your forms. You rest in the stele upon the fields of the earth. What you take away is night. What you bring is day. You are the Nucher who traverses the hour. You rest in the bark of Khepari. You have seized those who are upon him of the plot. Neit is gracious to you that you may keep apart water and fish. He who seals the earth and bends to you his arm. The Nucherut of awareness adore you. Praise belongs to you from the adoring ones. You triumph over your enemies. You injure those who are punished. Orders by the majesty of this great Nucher after he has arrived at this gateway. Strong be your gate, firm your doors, sealed your bolts. You who come to me when passing through, who come to me as I am rushing through, may you be firm in your places, standing at your riverbanks. This Nucher passes by them and they wail after he's passed them to awareness. One has made these like this image in the secrecy of the DjHwt. He who makes these images is like the great Nucher himself. It is beneficial to him on earth, a very true remedy, corresponding to their secret images that are painted. There are 120 units of measure to go to this gateway. The hour guiding this gateway, she who smashes the foreheads of the enemies of Ra, is her name. It is the first hour of the night. Second hour. Introduction. Setting in awareness by the majesty of this Nucher, rowing Ahru in the waters of Ra. 309 units of measure is the length of this field. 120 are its breadth. This great Nucher assigns plots to the Nucheru at this region. The name of the hour of the night guiding this great Nucher is the wise one who protects her master. The name of the gate of this region is he who swallows all. This great Nucher assigns fields to the Nucheru of the DjHwt. He takes care of them at this region. Know those of the DjHwt. He who knows their names will be among them. This great Nucher will assign fields to him at their place of the fields of awareness. He will stand at the positions of the Ba-soul, and he will proceed after this great Nucher. He will enter the earth and open the DjHwt, will upbraid the locks of the braided ones. He will pass by the donkey swallower after the Ma'at of the plot. Always will he eat bread at the bark of the earth and will be given the prow rope of the sun bark. These drawings of the Ba-souls of the DjHwt are painted like that form in the secrecy of the DjHwt, the beginning of the riding towards the west. Offerings are made for them upon earth in their names. It is efficient for a man on earth, a true remedy, proven 1,000,000 times. Upper register. After the intermediate realm of the first hour, we now enter the actual DjHwt, which is represented in the second and third hours as a fertile region watered by the primeval ocean Noon and called awareness. All beings of the upper register have one long text in common. The representations start again with the Nucher Ma'at whom we met in front of the sunbark. She is followed by two Nucherut wearing the white crown, the red crown, and a third with the sign for desert on her head. Ma'at at the head of the wadi, white crown at the head of the wadi, red crown at the head of the wadi, beautiful west. The next 5 Necherut all grasp a Wa'as scepter in the sign of life, A'ankh, with their hands. They are human-headed, lion-headed, then 3 human-headed with serpents on their heads. She who swallows all, Sekhmet of the Wa'as scepter. She who presides over those of the Du'at. She who swallows the dead. She who gives birth to herself. Following are beings in different shapes, a kneeling lion-headed figure, a stela with human head turned back, a serpent staff, a crook, a Nucher with the 2 heads of Haru and Sutuch, 2 sitting baboons in mummiform outfit, a Nucher in dancing attitude, holding a knife, a hawk-headed Nucher with a serpent on his head, and a human-headed Nucher holding a Zechem scepter. She who imposes respect to the Ach spirits, commands of Ausir, snake staff of Ausir, shepherd's crook of Ausir, his 2 faces, wailing baboon, he who causes to fall, who beheads shadows, Haru of the Du'at, whose arm is powerful, smiter of his foes. The last 6 deities are all mummiform, seated on the thrones and holding a knife in their lap. They show the head of a lion, a baboon, an ibis, and a ram, with the last 2 human-headed. Together they form a tribunal. She of the fireplace, who cuts up souls, flesh on its throne, DjHwtymos on his throne, Khnum of the court, Geb of the court, Auset the investigator. Text, common to all beings of the upper register. They are like this. They adore this great Nucher after he's reached them. It is their voices which guide him to them. It is their wailing which accompanies him after he has given his orders to them. It is these Nucheru who raise up the words of those on earth. They are those who bring the souls to their sleep. What they have to do, to care for the bringing of the deep night, and to perform sacrifices according to their hours. It is they who guard the day and bring the night, till this great Nucher has come out from the unified darkness, to settle in the gateway of the eastern horizon of the sky. They wail because of this great Nucher. They mourn him after he has passed by them. Whoever knows them will go forth by day, and by night he will be carried off to the trees of the greatest city. The register starts again with the sunbark showing, in addition to the usual crew, Auset and Amdw3t as serpents at the prow. Auset, Amdw3t, Wapa'u Wa'wet, opener of the ways. Sia, percipients. Lady of the bark. Flesh of Ra. Haru of the fragrance. Bull of Ma'at, the vigilant one. Hu, utterance. Guide of the bark. In front, but in reality in the following of the bark, are 4 other boats carrying provisions and symbolic signs. The first of them has prow and stern shaped as cobra heads. Her crew consists of a Nucher in the center between 2 Nucheru and 2 large sheaves of grain. The bark rowing through the flood, Nepri, grain Nucher, anonymous Nucher. Barley staff. Prow and stern of the 3rd bark, with red crown and white crown respectively, carries a crocodile between 2 Zechem scepters. Bark which the Nucheru row, image which is in it. In the 4th bark, a huge symbol of Hotat is flanked by 2 Nucherut, unlabeled by name. A scarab is at the prow, and the stern terminates with the head of a Nucher with 2 high feathers. Bark, carried by awareness, Nucheru who are in it. The head of a Nucher again forms the stern of the last bark. This boat carries a kneeling Nucher supporting a huge ostrich feather, and a stand bearing the crescent and disk of the moon, whereas Hotat is the right eye of Ra, the moon is his left eye. Ship of those of the Du'at, anonymous Nucher, who supports Ma'at. The text belonging to the middle register is incomplete and difficult to reconstruct. This great Nucher proceeds like this. He is rowed in the barks which are in the earth. Those who are in awareness, they come as he makes his way to this region. He gives orders to them from his bark, and he calls them when he has landed. These barks move around very much, in awareness carrying Auser. Then they wail their barks. This great Nitjar and Nepri give commands to them from their barks, that they may take possession of the fields. He who knows it will go down to the Duat in his bark. Lower register. The figures start with 4 running Nutjaru, of whom the first 3 carry the sign for season in their outstretched hands. The 4th carries a knife. He who keeps apart the seasons, guardian of the seasons, bearer, bearing arm. The next 3 Nutjaru are shown with long year signs, followed by 3 more with stars on their hands. Together the first 9 Nutjaru ensure the right sequence of the agricultural year, and thus guarantee that fresh plants will be always available for the blessed dead. He of the year, who belongs to the grain bundle, petitioner. He of the light, great youth, the great shining one. Next are a Nutjar with 2 divine heads on his neck, a Nutjar with 2 papyrus scepters in his hands, each surmounted by a star, followed by a mummiform Nutjar with the white crown. He whose 2 faces and 2 arms are within him, the brilliant one, Auser, the perfect being. The next 3 deities are mummiform and seated on thrones. The first, jackal-headed, the second, human-headed, each with a star in their lap, the third, bull-headed with a knife. Lord of the Forbidden Land, Yabet, donkey swallower. The next Nutjar standing also carries a knife. 3 more following carry ears of grain instead. The next group of 3 have the ears of grain upon their heads. The last one, facing toward those preceding, is the guardian of this region. He who belongs to the divine place, grain, scepter, whose arm shines, who belongs to the head, Nepri, Besa, protection, twin flames. They are like this. They make a present to this great Nutjar with the seasons. They praise him with the years in their hands. This great Nutjar gives orders to them. They call him, and they live from the voice of this great Nutjar. Their throats breathe when he calls them. He assigns them their functions, and he offers them their plants in their fields. They are those who present the green plants which are in awareness to the Nutjaru in the following of Ra. They are those who offer water to the spirits, as this great Nutjar commands. It is they who heat the embers to burn up the enemies of Ra. They are those who throw hearts into the fire. Then they wail and they mourn after this great Nutjar has passed by them. He who is in the twin flames is the guardian of this region. He who knows them is a well-provisioned spirit, whom they protect. Closing text. Words spoken by the Nutjaru of the Duat. When this great Nutjar enters the gate, all swallower, when he has been rowed through the waters of Ra towards awareness. Oh, appear, great soul, the Duat has received the flesh belonging to heaven. You are now living flesh in the earth which is protected for you. Come indeed, Ra, that you live in your name, living one, Khepari, foremost of the Duat. You traverse the fields, protector. You bind the Hiu serpent, and you strike horrible of face. Joy and jubilation are in the earth to you, who uncovers his corpse. Shine, great illuminator. Be radiant, you, Uraeus serpent, on the head of Ra. Drive away the darkness in the hidden realm, in your name, he who chases him away with the secret arm. Illuminate unified darkness, that the flesh may live and be renewed by it. Twice welcome, Ra, in the west. Your bark belongs to you. How well is it that your rowers, who are in the earth, guide you. Their arm is secret, so they can annihilate Pepi for you at the hour, she who protects her master. Hail, hail to him who goes to his soul, who hastens well-equipped, coming because of his corpse. Accessible is the region of turquoise. Opened are the twin doors of the earth. Concealed is your movement, Ausir. You are protected. Ausir is protected. You triumph over your enemies as setting one to the west, as renewed one to the east. Orders given by the majesty of this great Nucher to the Nucheru of the Duat who are in awareness. Open your secret gates. Look at the flesh which uncovers your darkness. Water of awareness belongs to you, that the bread comes to you from the plants there. Breathe to your noses so that you are not annihilated. Desiccation is for your bodies, and no evil stench of your decay. Your wrappings are undone, your feet may stretch, that you may walk on them, that you may stride far. Your souls belong to you, they are not far from you. Your forms may live, that they speak your magic spells. Your knives may be sharp, that you may master the enemies of Ausir. Lasting be your seasons, and may your years endure, so that the manifestations of your hours emerge. You settle your mounds. Emmer is for you as bread. Barley is yours as justification. Ma'acharu. You sail onwards because of my barks. You steer to the images. Revived and renewed are the fields. You are the peasants of awareness, whose souls live through me. You are the ones who fight for my limbs, who protect me against Pepi. May you live for my soul. May you breathe for my corpse. May you stay at your protected place. Commanded is to you that you remain therein. When I am here, day is behind me in the Duat, and passing through the night, I drive away darkness. Oh, behold me, I go behind my brilliant eye, and I proceed behind my left eye. Oh, you of the Duat, I protect you. Oh, I take care of you. This Nucher calls to them as his bark, which is in the earth, is rowed along. They wail when he has passed them, to pause in the fields of those on the edge, who are in the following of Ausir. This is done like this image in the secrecy of the realm of the Duat. He who knows this text will approach those of the Duat. It is useful for a man on earth, a true remedy. This hour is the wise who protects her master. Third hour. Introduction. Setting into the region of the shore dwellers by the majesty of this great Nucher, rowing on the water of Ausir, 309 units of measure is the length of this region. Then this great Nucher gives orders to the spirits who are in the following of Ausir at this region. The name of the hour of the night guiding this great Nucher is She Who Cuts Souls. The name of the gate of this region is Robber. This great Nucher cares for the Nucheru in the following of Ausir. He assigns plots to them at this region. Know the mysterious souls. He who knows their names on earth will approach to the place where Ausir is. Water is given to him at this region. Water of the unique Lord, which brings forth nourishment, is the name of this region. These images of the mysterious souls have been made like that form which is painted in the secrecy of the Duat. The beginning of the writing belongs toward the west. It is sufficient for a man on earth, and in the Chart Nucher, a true remedy. Upper register. The figures start with the baboon sitting on a sand oval, his arms raised in adoration, followed by another baboon, mummiform, sitting in a shrine. After these are a pair of Nucheru holding scepter, and one jackal-headed, the other crocodile-headed. The two Nucheru that follow each present in their hands the pupils of Ra's eyes. He on his sand, Jebi Nucher, Anpu, terrible of voice, he who brings, she who brings. The next figures are a ram with a knife before his front leg, a standing mummy resembling Ptah, a jackal lying on a shrine, a crouching figure, again raising the sun's pupil, and a papyrus column with a magic wand on top. The next four Nucheru have no attributes. Slayer of his foes, standing bow, Anpu of the Was scepter, he who brings the eye and satisfies the Nucheru with it. Great of magic, he with a noble heart, the strong one, who rejuvenates the mummies, who seizes by night. Next come four mummiform Nucheru, the second with a double or winged serpent on his head, the third and fourth with bull's horns. The attired one, the robber, bull of forms, that soul. Following are four Nucherut without attributes, appearing to be wailing, followed by a mummiform hawk on a standard, and three Nucheru with Was and Ach in their hands. She who weeps, she who praises, she who mourns, she who wails, Hanu, falcon, Haru of the terrace, most perfect of the Nucheru, he who completes Ma'at. All three registers show texts related to all beings in the register. They are like this in the Duat, in the flesh of their own bodies. Their souls speak on them, their shadows rest on them. After this great Nucher has called them, they speak to him, they adore him, and they wail when he has passed them. What they have to do in the west, grinding the enemy and letting noon come into expression, making the Nile inundation flow and the storm go forth from the earth beneath them. They give voice when they grind the enemy. He who knows them passes by them and cannot perish because of their roaring. He cannot fall into their pits. Middle register. The sunbark, in some versions incomplete, shows the usual crew and is accompanied by three other boats carrying various images of Ra. Wapau-Wahwet, opener of the ways, Sia, percipients, lady of the bark, flesh of Ra, Haru of fragrance, bull of Ma'at, the vigilant one, Hu, utterance, guide of the bark. In the second boat, the prow ends in the heads of a lioness. The crew consists of 6 Nucheru, an oarsman at stern and prow, the second anonymous, a standing mummy, a figure with the horns of a ram on his head, clad in a short cloak as it is worn in the regenerating Sed festival, a Nucher with a Was in one hand, the other arm bent, and a serpent erect on its tail. Name of the bark, Pachet, a lion Nuchert. Rower, he in the earth. The ram-headed one, lord of the Was scepter. He who burns with his eye, anonymous rower. Prow and stern of the third boat are shaped as baboons' heads. The crew consists of 2 more oarsmen, a bent Nucher without a head, a standing mummy, a Nucher with an Ach in one hand, and another serpent erect on its tail. Name of the bark, baboon bark, he who cuts with his face, the radiant one, anonymous, anonymous, he who burns with his face, he who rows without tiring. The last boat has papyriform prow and stern, and once more a crew of 6 Nucheru, 2 oarsmen, the erect serpent, a hawk-headed Nucher with Was and Ach standing on a serpent, and 2 kite-headed Nucherut with bent arms. Name of the bark, equipped bark, flaming face, attendant and follower of Haru, kite Nuchert, kite Nuchert, torch face, anonymous rower. The procession of boats is met by 4 Nucheru with arms bent. they have order-bringing functions. Lord of the water, moorer of the earth, he who sets the limits, he who seats the limits. The middle register has a common text for all deities. This great Nuchar crosses the water of the unique Lord, which brings forth nourishment in this manner. He is rowed in the barks which are in the earth, and he causes Ausir to be rowed to this region. This great Nuchar pauses a while in this region. He gives instructions to Ausir and those who are in his following. It is these mysterious barks which guide him to this region. This great Nuchar travels in this region at the hour she who cuts souls. These barks return to the shore of the robber after traversing this region. He who knows them belongs to the places, biting his offering cake together with Ra. Lower register. The lower register starts with the ram-headed Nuchar Khnum, the chief deity of Elephantine, who is responsible for the Nile inundation reaching Egypt at Elephantine and fertilizing also the fields in the Duat. In front of him, another Nuchar raises his arms in adoration. Khnum, guardian of the earth. Ausir, lord of the west. Ausir, foremost of the west. Ausir of the place. Ausir who seizes millions. Horrible of face. Their flood. Anonymous. Destroyer. Roarer. Meshanet, Nuchars of birth. Who guards the slaughterer. She over her flame. Who belongs to the hidden. Then follow 4 figures of Ausir sitting on their throne and wearing the red crown, and 2 Nucharu looking backwards and grasping a Wa'as scepter with both hands. Following are 3 bending figures, their names stressing their disabled state. Ausir, bull of the west. Ausir on his throne. Ausir with the red crown. Ausir most powerful of the Nucharu. Sa'ach, Orion. The standing one. The bent one. The creeping one. He with difficult going. At the end of the register, and in the opposite direction, another couple is standing, the Nuchar with a pupil in each of her outstretched hands, and the Nuchar with Wa'as and Ach. She of the eastern mountain, Khatari. The lower register has also a common text for all deities. They are like this. They adore this great Nuchar. This great Nuchar gives orders to them. They live when he calls to them. He assigns them their water, and they receive their heads through the breath of his mouth. What they have to do in the west is doing the roasting and cutting up of the souls, imprisoning the shadows and putting an end to those who do not exist, who are at their place of destruction. They kindle the flames and let burn the enemies through the flames on top of their knives. They wail and they mourn when this great Nuchar has passed by them. Khatari is the name of the guardian of this region. He who knows them is an Ach spirit who masters his 2 feet. Closing text. Words spoken by the mysterious Nucharu when this great Nuchar enters the gate, robber, and sails on the water of the unique Lord which brings forth nourishment. Come to us, whose flesh is being rowed, and who is guided by his own body, interpreter of the Duat, Lord of breath, whose body speaks, who provides for his life. Your soul appears and your power flourishes. Your 2 Ma'at Nucharut guide you on the way of darkness. The sky belongs to your soul, the earth to your corpse. The unique one rises up for you, alone at the tow rope that the jackals moor. The arms of the Westerners receive you in your protected form of old man. How beautiful is it that the Westerners can see. How satisfying it is when those of the Duat can hear Ra, when he sets in the west, when his light is put into the region of dark images. Come indeed to us, Ra of the horizon, gold Khapari, seed of the Nucharu. You sail by the banks of the Duat. You traverse your hidden fields, and you make transformations in that your earth. The greatest city exults for you, with which you have been content, together with the praise of Ausir given to you, when he praises you out of his body, which is in the Duat. Behold, Ra is triumphant. Menkheperwra, true of voice. Behold, Ra strikes his enemies. You are triumphant, true of voice. Menkheperwra, Ra against your enemies, Lord of the sun disk with shining soul illuminating the earth. Orders given by the majesty of this great Nutyar to the mysterious souls who are in the following of Ausir. O you whom I have made mysterious, whose souls I have hidden, come near to me, in whose following Ausir is, in order to greet him and to intervene in favor of his images, to destroy those who bound him. Who belongs to you, Ausir? Sia belongs to you, foremost of the Westerners. O spirits of Ausir, who are in the following of the foremost of the Westerners. Your forms are enduring. Blessed state to your manifestations. May your noses breathe air. May your faces see, and may your ears hear. Uncovering for your covers. Release for your wrappings. Offerings are for you on earth. Water belongs to you from the divine riverbank. Plots belong to you from your fields. Your souls do not fail. Your corpses are not turned upside down. Opening be for your gates, light to your caverns. May you stand at your places. I have come here to see my corpse, to inspect my image, which is in the Duat. The rowers of Tatjinen row me. Those with arms extended steer me. Your soul belongs to the sky, Ausir. Your corpse belongs to the earth, foremost of the hereafter. Your Nutyaru are behind you, your spirits before you. Your images are transformed in which you are. Lo, blessed state for your spirit, Ausir, and blessed state to your spirits who are in the following of Ausir. When I approach the earth, day behind me, I pass the night that my soul may rest. Your forms belong to the day, but your spirits I have made for the night. I created your souls for myself, after me, when you had already been made. You have not fallen into the place of destruction. This great Nutyar moors near them. Then they call out as he sails along, after he has given orders to them. It is made similar in the secrecy of the Duat. He who knows these will be a spiritual soul, mastering his 2 feet, without entering the place of destruction. He goes forth as an image by day, and he breathes air at this hour. The hour which guides in the field is named She Who Cuts Souls. Fourth hour. Here the landscape abruptly changes into a barren desert populated by serpents, many of them shown with legs or with wings to give an idea of their rapid movement. The fourth and fifth hours form the land of Sokar upon his sand, Sokar being originally the Nutyar of the Memphite necropolis, but in the New Kingdom equated with Ausir. From here on out, many of the figures are provided with an individual text. The whole hour is traversed by a zigzag path repeatedly closed by doors cutting the way and therefore called knives. The path is described by some short texts. Introduction. Pausing in being towed by the majesty of this great Nutyar in the mysterious cavern of the west with protected forms, taking care of those who are in it with his voice without his seeing them. With living manifestations is the name of this cavern. The name of the gate of this cavern is, which hides the towing. The name of the hour of the night guiding this great Nutyar is, She Who is Great in Her Power. He who knows this image is one who eats bread beside the living in the temple of Atum. The mysterious ways of the Ra'sta'u, the unapproachable paths of Amdw3t, the hidden gates in the land of Sokar upon his sand. This image is made in paint, in the secrecy of the DjHwtymos, on the western side of the hidden chamber. Whoever knows it is one with right paths, treading the ways of the Ra-Sja'u, beholding the image of the Amdw3t. Texts in the desert path. The one belonging to the Ra-Sja'u, secret paths of the Ra-Sja'u, the divine gate. He cannot pass them, but it is only his voice which they can hear. Path entered by the corpse of Sokar upon his sand. Secret image which can neither be seen nor beheld. Secret path entered by Anpu to conceal the corpse of Ausir. Secret path of the edge of the Amdw3t. Upper register. Path belonging to Ra-Sja'u, this gate. The upper register starts with a Untitled wearing a red crown. She is unnamed but has accompanying text. She is at the rising. Following is a human-headed serpent on 4 legs, facing the opposite direction, also unnamed. He with the head who guards the way. He is the guardian of this path, who does not go to any other place any time. Knife of the mooring place. Beyond the path, 3 serpents are shown. Those on their bellies, they are like this without going to any other place any time. After them, the scorpion Untitled Sakat appears as a coiled Uraeus serpent. Sarkat. She is like this. Her position is Ra-Sja'u, at the beginning of this path. The next Untitled holds the pupils of the divine eyes in his outstretched hands. He who separates the 2 Untitled, he is like this as an image of Haru himself. He separates the image on the unapproachable path. The next Untitled is a 3-headed serpent with wings and legs. This great Untitled, he is like this in the DjHwtymos, at the edge of this unapproachable path of Ra-Sja'u. He lives from the breath of his 2 wings, his corpse and the heads. The next Untitled appears to be Sutuch, holding an Ach and a Was scepter. Divider of the DjHwtymos. He is like this as an image made by Haru. He separates the 2 Untitled on this way. Sutuch is followed by a 2-headed serpent. Menkheperwra. He is like this at his place of the unapproachable way of the path of Ra-Sja'u, without going to any other place any time. He lives from the breath of his mouth. The next Untitled, crocodile-headed, looks backwards, holding in one hand a spiral wand, and with the other hand the head of a serpent that comes out of the earth. In front of him stands a falcon-headed Untitled, holding a Was scepter, and an Ach, as well as 1 Untitled wearing the white crown, and 1 wearing the red crown. They are like this as images made by Haru. They are those whom the protector guards when the earth quakes, showing the way to the mystery in this unapproachable path. Whose head praises, who purifies the DjHwtymos, southern one, northern one. Middle register. The sunbark in the middle register has been transformed into a double-headed serpent. Also, the Was scepter held by Ra is now formed as a serpent. Piercing the way, Wapau Wahwet, opener of the ways. Sia, percipience. Lady of the bark. Flesh of Ra, Haru of the fragrance. Bull of Ma'at, the vigilant one. Hu, utterance. The sunbark is towed by 4 Untitled. He of the secret rope, he who belongs to the tow rope, he above the rope, he who stretches the rope. Text above the sunbark. This great Untitled passes by them like this. It is the flames from the mouth of his bark which guide him on these mysterious ways, without him seeing their images. He calls to them in their vicinity, and it is his voice that they hear. Gate. Knife which renews the land, Duat. Beyond the second door we meet a standing figure of Ausir and his crook staff propped before him. He of the tassel, staff of Ausir, one ibis-headed and one hawk-headed Nitjer lift up the divine eye, Uja, identified here as the eye of Sokar, which is permanently threatened and diminished by the powers of darkness, but healed again. Eye of Sokar, the one who lifts up, he with extended arm. The Nitjer that follows wears the white crown, and the next shows instead of a head 2 ropes on his neck, followed by a Nitjer without written attributes, and a Nitjer holding a magic wand in his hand, whose front is crowned, he over his rope, he with fresh face, the peaceful one. 3 Nitjeru and a Nitjert, standing in the opposite direction, carry the sign of life, in their hands. Thus, even in this desert of darkness, life is bestowed on the blessed dead. Guide of the sign, Anuhat Onuris, he who brings the distant Nitjert, he who commands, mistress of the sign. Text for the Nitjeru. They are like this as their images of their body, hidden by Haru on his unapproachable path of hiding secrets. They are the ones who belong to the unapproachable path of entering the secrets of the Duat. They are the ones who guard Anpu in his image of the Towing One, when he is passed by them in the Forbidden Land. Lower Register. The lower register starts with a papyrus boat, human-headed at the prow and stern, and carrying a huge serpent. The smooth one who shines, he is like this in his bark, guiding the Amhat. He stands at this secret way of the Amhat. He lives from the sound when the heads of his bark speak. A group of 5 deities consisting of 2 Nitjerut, a baboon seated on a throne, a lion-headed Nitjert, and a Nitjert in a seated position with cow horns on her head. She of the road, she who has claws, baboon, she who has teeth, she who raises the horn. They are like this as images made by Haru. They stand in the earth at this secret way of the Amhat, which they enter, belonging to the creation in the earth. Next is a long serpent, Amun, the hidden one. He is like this, belonging to the secret path of the Amhat, without going to any other place, any time. He lives from the voices of the Nitjeru belonging to this path. From the body of the serpent that follows emerges a human head. She who adores. She is like this as the guardian of this path. She adores with her 2 faces the great image which is in it, beside the desert path. Waters of the corpses. The figures beyond the zigzag path are oriented in the opposite direction, starting with a 3-headed serpent. Above its body are 14 human heads with discs above and stars below, arranged in 2 rows. The one who moves, this is the secret image of the Amhat. Light is in it daily until the birth of Khepari, who goes forth from the faces of he who moves serpent. Then Khepari moves on. The register is closed by a male figure with 1 arm raised, and then a Chet Ma'at with her feather upon her head. Above them, a winged sun disk, behind them the 3rd and last door. From here forward, a closing text is not presented. Khepari. He pauses in his form as a Nitjer of colored feathers, who is in heaven. Ma'at. A 3rd gate closes the register. Knife of eternity.